Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley, and welcome to Steelers Almighty. This is our report card podcast from the Steelers' big victory over the Cincinnati Bengals, 44-38. Man, it was a crazy game, a shootout. And I'll be honest, I didn't think that the Steelers could win a shootout, but they did. They were aggressive on offense, attacked early, best game that I've seen Russell Wilson play in years. Heck, it was the second most passing yards he's ever had in a game in his entire career. We're going to break that down and the defense, coaching, special teams, all of it now. Give them grades for each position and see how the Steelers actually did against the Bengals. So make sure you stick around to the end. Like I mentioned, Steelers Almighty. I appreciate all the support that you guys have given us. Thank you guys for always sticking around, man. Make sure you get in those comments as well, like you always do. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure that you do. We love the interaction and the back and forth in the comments section. And always hit that notification bell so you know exactly when Steelers Almighty content is coming out. Without further ado, man, let's get into this thing. So first things first, quarterback position, Russell Wilson. Look, Russ was phenomenal yesterday. Look, he got out of trouble when he needed to get out of trouble. He basically Russ was cooking yesterday. He was accurate with the football. He was aggressive with the football. I wouldn't necessarily he was doing a ton of scrambling, but he did a little bit. But more importantly, he just got out of trouble. We talk about the 2 sacks. They To me, those weren't real sacks. It was basically Russ saying, "Okay, I need to at least get back to the line of scrimmage and just get down. Nobody's open. Let me not take a 7, 8, 9 yard loss here or anything like that." Which again is good quarterback play, being aware. I thought what he did on Sunday was absolutely phenomenal. The interception wasn't his fault. Wide receiver fell down, slash got pulled down. However you want to look at it, that's still not Russell Wilson's fault. Um, what he did was outstanding. I mean, there's just not any two ways to talk about what Russell Wilson did. You can talk about, well, it was just one game and the Bengals defense is terrible. Okay, who cares? Bottom line is somebody had to go make the plays. Russell Wilson made the plays yesterday. He gets an absolute A plus for his effort. Anybody saying anything different is just trying to nitpick. And don't get me wrong, I've nitpicked all the time. Russell Wilson was outstanding yesterday. Period. End of story. He was outstanding. Moved on to the running back room. Look, Najee Harris apparently had like an upset stomach or something going on with him, but I thought he had a good football game, man. I thought he played great. Jalen Warren, look, his rushing numbers weren't great, but what he did in pass protection and catching ball out of the backfield, excellent. Cincinnati continuously just allowed dropping in their drop zone, just gave the Steelers underneath, routes, and Russell Wilson was taking them and we kept getting first downs. I'm like, sooner or later, you guys are going to stop dropping 8, 10, 12 yards down the field and allowing us to throw underneath. The Bengals never made the adjustment. Russell Wilson kept doing it. But what I liked about the running backs, once they caught the ball, Cordell Patterson especially, they put their head down and got north and south. They weren't trying to go side to side and do a bunch of dancing. No, they were like, okay, I got the ball. We're going to go north and south. We're going to go get first downs. I loved what they did. I love what the running backs did yesterday. The average 4.7 yards a carry. A lot of that was Najee and Cordell Patterson. Like I said, Jalen Warren didn't have a great day running, but that didn't mean he didn't have a good day. So overall, I give the running backs an A. That's a good effort by our running backs yesterday. The things that we want them to do as far as vision, lateral movement, picking up the blitz, and in being good in pass protection, they did all of that yesterday. So really good effort by the running backs. Wide receiver room. Um, you know, 10 different people caught passes yesterday. Now, a lot of that's Russell Wilson distributing the ball around, but that's also a lot guys getting open. One of the things that we talked about is kind of in the scramble drill is that wide receivers stop running, don't come back to the ball, don't get open. We saw a lot of that yesterday where maybe the play initially broke down, guys kept running, kept moving, kept working and getting open, and Russell Wilson was finding them. I give them credit because I blamed them for not doing that previously. Well, if I'm going to blame them for not doing that, then I have to give them credit when they are doing it. And they did a lot of that yesterday. Wasn't too many drop passes. I think the Steelers dropped 2 passes yesterday, which, again, you don't want any drop passes, but as many times as we threw the football to limit it to just 2, I'll take it. Guys were making plays yesterday that they hadn't made. Skoranek made some plays. Van Jefferson made plays. McCole Pruitt, he made plays. Just all over the football field. We know what George Pickens was out there doing, making plays. Fryermuth was doing his thing, got more involved. I think that Cleveland game may have given him and Arthur Smith a little bit more confidence, and Russell Wilson. Hey, man, I got to go to Fryermuth. This guy's getting open. Let's throw him the football. Calvin Austin, again, made another play. He got banged up yesterday. The Lord have mercy. He just got hit twice, just crushed. But he's a tough son of a gun, man. And like I said, made a huge touchdown catch. The wide receivers played good yesterday. I don't know where Mike Williams is. At some point, hopefully, we're going to see Mike Williams. We didn't see. He started the game yesterday, actually. If you paid attention, yeah, when the first they were out in 11 personnel, he was one of the 3 receivers. But I don't know. Mike Williams, he just hadn't been able to find his footing. It is what it is. They didn't need him yesterday. I think they are going to need him in the future. I guess. But if we're going to get the same kind of effort and production that we got yesterday, maybe we won't. I don't know. Either way, the wide receiver group for me, they got an A plus yet, or an A yesterday for what they did. I thought that what they did was outstanding work. So they get an A. Now to the offensive line. Look, the first thing is, like I mentioned, no sacks. Now, again, don't get in the comments, oh, come on, Big B, they did have 2 sacks. I'm not counting those as real sacks. When your quarterback literally just goes down and gets back to the line of scrimmage and somebody jumps on him and touches him, I'm not giving you credit for that sack. I'm not going to do that. Now, they did get quite a bit of hits on the quarterback. And in the run game, it was pretty good. But the offensive line, I thought, was pretty good. Trey Hendrickson, they didn't mention his name a whole lot against the Steelers. No, take that back. The announcers kept talking about how good he was and kept saying how great he was and him this and him that. But during the play and after the play, you never really mentioned him because he didn't do anything yesterday. Dan Moore did a really good job. Regardless of what PFF is going to tell you about his pass blocking or run blocking, Hendrickson didn't do anything yesterday. And that's a credit to Dan Moore. I said he needed to have a good game, and he did. Broderick Jones looks like he might be turning the quarter. Look, I know Hubbard isn't as good as Hendrickson, but he's still a good defensive end. You didn't hear his name. I don't know at all yesterday. Dan Moore had a good job. Now, it wasn't all great by the offensive line. It wasn't. But it never is. And it's never going to be. Again, those guys get paid too, man, to cause disruption. Those guys are more athletic than our offensive linemen, just like everybody's D-line is more athletic than everybody's offensive line. But for the most part, the offensive line played really good football yesterday, man. I'm not going to knock them for not being perfect, okay? Nobody's perfect. But what I do know is that in a matchup where we thought the Steelers had to control the line of scrimmage, they controlled the line of scrimmage yesterday. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Our crazy man, Mason McCormick, was out there doing his crazy man stuff. Again, bad technique, ultra aggressive, got the job done. That's all we can ask for at this point in time. I gave the offensive line an A-. They play really good football. I said they played phenomenal, as good as Russell Wilson yesterday, at the post game. I went back and looked at the all 22. And there were some really good spots, a couple of shaky spots, but the offensive line played well, man. To me, it was the best game that they played all year, and I'm giving them an A-. End of story. So overall, as far as the offense is concerned, look, when you have 520 yards, 414 yards passing, you're averaging 4.7 yards a rush. I mean, 4.2 yards a rush. You're doing something, man. You're doing something. The offense is moving. It's cooking. And that's exactly what happened yesterday on all levels. You also have to give credit to Arthur Smith. We'll get into the coaching aspect of that here in a minute. But there's no question that this offense played a good game yesterday. I know there's going to be the naysayers out there that are going to tell you that the Cincinnati Bengals defense is terrible. I'm not going to disagree. The Cincinnati Bengals defense is terrible. But like I always say, when you are the dominant team, your job is to go out there and dominate somebody. regardless. Well, the Steelers' offense is that much better than the Bengals' defense, and their job is to go out there and punish them. That's what they did yesterday. It's not our fault that the Bengals' defense is not any good. Okay? And how many times have we seen the Steelers' offense go against bad defenses and not look quite as good, not look near as good as what they should? We've seen that several times, hell, this year. So for them to go out and do what they did yesterday against that Bengals team, and again, you can say whatever you want about their defense. There was no reason that the Steelers could have had like 370 yards, but they didn't. They went out and had 500 yards, man. Over 500 yards of total offense. Don't want to hear it. I'm giving the offense an A. Period. End of story. I love what they did. I love the aggression. I love the imagination that we showed. I love everything about what this offense did yesterday. It was a good, solid effort. Give that unit an A. Now let's move to the defensive side of the ball. Defensive line. And I always seem like I have to clarify this. I count our outside linebackers as defensive linemen because we line up in the nickel so much. Yesterday it was even worse. I mean, coming into the game, we were at 58% in nickel. Yesterday, 72% of the defensive snaps were in nickel for the Steelers, or nickel or dime. So, didn't see a ton of base defense out there. Now, as far as the D line goes, look, they didn't do great against the run. Cincinnati kind of got what they wanted running the football, 6.2 yards a carry. So weren't plugging up a ton of holes, but they got after the quarterback. They got after Joe Burrow when they needed to get after him. We had 4 sacks. We had some passes defended, causing turnovers, causing havoc. We hit Joe Burrow a lot. D-line got after it yesterday in the passing game. So I don't want to be too critical, but I also want to understand, look, it can't just be pass rushing about the defensive line. It can't just be that. You got to have your run responsibilities too. But the bad did not outweigh the good as far as the defensive line was concerned. So give me a B+ for the defensive line against Cincinnati Bengals. Now let's move to the linebackers. As I mentioned, a ton of nickel or more yesterday from the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's not an excuse, though. You can't be. Patrick Queen was lost in coverage yesterday. He had a horrible day in coverage. Wasn't good against the run. Elandon Roberts wasn't out there a ton, but he was bad against both. Usually, teams are running the football. Elandon Roberts welcomes you to run the football. That was not the case against the Bengals. Like I mentioned before, 6.2 yards a carry. And you can say, yeah, but one of them was a long run. Yeah, but before that, they were gashing us running the football, man. Let's just be honest. That happened. And regardless, and they did tighten up towards the end of the game, but they at that point, they're only running it to keep us off balance. They weren't trying to run it to do anything. When the Bengals were trying to run the football, when the game was close and they were trying to run it when they wanted to, they could. And we couldn't do anything about it. Patrick Queen's got to be better. I don't care that he led the team in tackles yesterday. That doesn't do anything for me, okay? What does things for me is him looking horrible in coverage. Horrible when they wanted to run the football, they're able to run it. Peyton Wilson was pretty good yesterday. I will say that. Didn't get a ton of snaps, and maybe we're going to start seeing more of him after he kind of went through that 2 or 3 game lull there. Hopefully he's got his act together. He understands a little bit more about, hey, this is really professional football. Can't be running around blocks anymore. Having said that, I didn't like what the linebackers did yesterday. And if we're being honest, you didn't like what the linebackers did yesterday. So I gave the linebacking unit a C. Moving on. Ugh. The defensive backs. Yeah, look, Joey Porter Jr. was bad. And I don't think there's anything else that we can say other than it was another bad day. We got to, first off, I love the analogy that the announcer came up with and said, hey, you need to start practicing with boxing gloves so he stops grabbing people in practice. I don't disagree. And I know there was a couple of penalties that maybe some people thought were iffy, but when you get a reputation, they're just going to start calling it on reputation, whether that's good or bad. He's got a reputation of grabbing people. And if we're being honest, I think maybe only one of the penalties that he had wasn't a pass interference penalty. The other ones were all warranted. Hell, he had 2 on one play. He held the guy, damn near dragged T. Higgins down. Then he interfered with him in the end zone. It was just another bad day. The problem with that is he's starting to stack those up, you know. And I understand these guys are really, really good receivers. I mean, Jamar Chase, there's an argument to be made. He's the best receiver in the National Football League. T. Higgins is a top 20 receiver in the National Football League. Some people might even say higher. I don't know if I do, but I know he's in the top 20. I guarantee you that. And so to go against that, it's tough. But we are supposed to be tough. This was just not a good day for our secondary as a whole. It wasn't just JPJ. Minka had a bad day in coverage as well. Deshaun Elliott, while that's not his game, needs to be better. Dante Jackson, he was okay. He had that pick. I'll give it to him off the tip. But he needs to be better. He had a bad penalty. It just wasn't a great day by the defensive backs. Now, you can say that you're going up against with the rules, Joe Burrow's playing out of his mind, and with these receivers, it's going to be a tough day, but it didn't have to look as bad as what it did. And it looked bad yesterday. Call me a hard head, call me nitpicking, whatever you want to say. I didn't like the effort from our defensive backs yesterday, and I gave them a D. Did not like what they did at all yesterday. And I understand they're tough to cover, but we have to be tough, period. We got to be better than that. We got to be better than that. And maybe we'll be better, and we have been better against teams that don't have that kind of explosive offense, but we saw what we saw. The results were the results. It just wasn't a good day. So overall, look, they gave up 31 points. 7 of the points the Bengals got was a pick six. So, they gave up 31 points. Their offense is really good, man. It just is. There's not a whole lot else you can say. Joe Burrow is playing at an unbelievable level, and he just is. Jamar Chase, crazy good. Their offensive line is not any good, but they were able to run the football on us when they wanted to run the football. I didn't like that. I just didn't like what I saw from the Steelers yesterday. Didn't see enough blitzing, didn't see enough zone blitzing. We saw them try to mix up some stuff and bring TJ from a couple of different spots a couple of times. Wasn't enough for my taste. Having said all of that, give me a C for the defense. Again, tough matchup, but we got to be better. And I think we can be better. That's the thing. We can be better. Got to eliminate those penalties, man. Penalties killed us. Those penalties absolutely killed us because a couple of times they were drive-saving penalties where we could have got them off the field and we didn't. So it wasn't a good effort by the defense. As far as special teams, I'm going to be hard on the special teams because I think we have the best special teams unit in the National Football League. And quite frankly, I don't think it's close. Having said that, I didn't think it was great yesterday. We gave up a field goal block. Look, Boswell was fine. Nothing wrong with him. He's great. Waitman, again, when he had his one opportunity, you could say, well, it was only a 38-yard punt. But he also pinned him inside the 20, which is his job. And it's better than what he did the previous week. Remember that? One punt against Cleveland. He kicked the damn ball 15 yards when we're trying to pin him deep, and get the ball out of there. Instead, he kicks the ball 15 yards and gives them a short field to go beat us. So better job in this football game. But I can't unsee what I saw. The kickoff coverage unit wasn't great. And I know Boswell wasn't kicking the ball out of the end zone. There was a swirling wind a little bit going one direction. I don't blame Bos for that. I'm just going to blame our coverage units. Got to be better. Wasn't a great day overall for our special teams. I'm really, really tough on them, people. So I gave them a C. Again, it's not that I think they stink. I just think they're better than what they put out there. That's my whole thing. Yes, that's nitpicking. I understand that part of it, but they're better than what they showed. They need to be better moving forward. Yesterday, they got a C. So as far as coaching is concerned, look, Arthur Smith deserves praise. No ifs, ands, or buts. If we are going to crush Arthur Smith when we think the game plan is lackadaisical, predictable, no imagination, well, when all of those things he does, and it was ultra aggressive yesterday, then we have to give him credit for that. And he did that. They were aggressive. They had a ton of imagination. showing a ton of motion to find out what the Bengals were in. Just a little simple motion, nothing crazy. You know, all of those things that the Steelers did yesterday was all good. And again, they didn't play conservative. The two times that they played a little lackadaisical that I didn't like was at the end of the half. I think that was a Mike Tomlin thing. And then at the end of the game, when we kicked a field goal, when we could have tried to throw the ball and score a touchdown, I thought we got conservative then. Both of those, I don't think you put at the feet of Arthur Smith. I think both of those are Mike Tomlin saying, hey, hold on a second. Let's pull it back. At the end of the half, I'm not even mad about Mike Tomlin's time management. Look, it's not what I would have done. I didn't like it. I thought they should have been even more aggressive and tried to go into the end zone, but they only had the one timeout. If they called it with 10 seconds to go, I think that's what it was, 10 seconds to go, and then you throw it short of the end zone and you get tackled, then you get no points. So what Mike Tomlin's thinking is, you know what? I got 3 points. Let's just take the 3. We get the ball at the half. We go down and score a touchdown because they haven't been able to stop us. We go score a touchdown. We get 10 points here. We got this game put away. I think that was his matter of fact. I know because he said so, but it didn't work out that way because we got the field goal blocked after halftime. So it didn't work out that way. I still would have taken my shot just because the way the Steelers offense was rolling, but I understand the logic. I do. So I wasn't mad about that. But as far as the defense, look, defense didn't look good. That's part of coaching too. Terrell Austin, again, you got to get more imaginative. There was too many times the Steelers were sitting back in that too deep zone. They were picking us apart. We got to be better. We just got to be better. And maybe part of that was Terrell Austin saying, okay, we got to be in a damn too deep zone because anytime we're in man, Joey Porter Jr. keeps holding these guys. So maybe it's not all his fault either. They're just thinking, hell, we can't play man. We keep getting these penalties. Maybe if we're in zone, we can stop it. Well, Joe Burrow's too good for that. And he's going to pick it apart. And he did. He did. So I didn't like that aspect of it, but it is what it is. I thought the coaching was pretty good yesterday though, against the Bengals. So I gave the coaching a B+. Thought the coaching was good. Thought again, the bad did not outweigh the good. The good was far greater than what the bad was as far as coaching was concerned. So overall, for the performance yesterday, look, I'll start with the bad. I just talked about it. The defense just wasn't great. But you know what? When you're playing really good offenses, especially the way the rules are, your defense at times isn't going to look great. They battled. They scored points. They got after Joe Burrow, but they still gave up the 31 points. They gave up a ton of yards. So that part has to be better. But look, man, the offense, again, was incredible yesterday. 520 yards of total offense. Hell, 2 years ago, even last year, we could have went 3 games and not got 520 yards of total offense. So for us to do that in one game is phenomenal. Yes, the Bengals defense is terrible, but it doesn't matter. We faced defenses that are terrible, and we couldn't do much against them. So when we do, be happy about it. Be happy about it. No reason to bash it this time. Overall, the Pittsburgh Steelers get a B for their performance yesterday. Because as good as the offense was, the defense still wasn't up to snuff, and neither was the special teams, at least to my standards. Yes, I'm tough on them because I think the Steelers can be better. I believe the Steelers can be better. Either way, it's a good performance. I loved what they did. And like I mentioned before, for the Steelers to be a serious football team that has to be taken seriously, this was a football game that you needed to go on the road and show that you could win. And they did that. Not that the Bengals are going to make the playoffs. They're not. Not that the Bengals are a great football team, because they're not. They do have a great offense that can score a ton of points. And if you aren't up to snuff in doing it, they'll end up beating you. Well, the Steelers were up to that yesterday on the road, hostile environment, and they answered the bell. So love what the Pittsburgh Steelers did, man. So I appreciate all of you guys being in here and, again, showing up for us. Thank you, guys. Look, we're still growing. Remember to keep subscribing. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do. Subscribe, like, follow. Absolutely continue to leave all those comments that you guys were leaving. I love going back and forth with you guys, whether we agree or disagree. I love the interaction. Make sure you continue to do that. That always helps us out. And the main thing is hit that notification bell so you know when all Steelers Almighty content comes out. So Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Aloha.